Round 4 of the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series takes place from the laser-scanned Suzuka circuit in Japan. The 5.8 kilometer circuit with a figure of 8 layout incorporates 18 turns with 8 of them to the left, 10 to the right, which will challenge the drivers for 53 laps of racing later today. Iberica Racing's Pablo GoPro Lopez takes us on a journey around the world-famous Japanese circuit. The lap begins at the Casio Triangle, the final chicane, the run out of turn 18, pivotal to the speed carried across the main straight. Pablo crosses the line and begins the lap. You can see downhill run to the first corner, which helps build straight line speed, sweeping in to turn 1, waiting for the front end to bite as you gradually get back onto the throttle and build speed for the S's, progressively slowing down through each corner here as you traverse through the S's section. Front anti-roll bar critical, as well as the setup for overall lap time at Suzuka. Then the uphill rise makes Dunlop curve difficult as you scream blindly through the corner. Position your car for the difficult Degner curves, aggressive as possible, while ensuring you don't dance and lose the throttle on the exit here, as so many drivers will do later on today. The wonderful hairpin, a great overtaking point. Several lines you can take before the full throttle section of the racetrack that leads to Spoon Curve. Pablo hugging the inside here, waiting for the entry of Spoon. Do not touch the grass under braking. Coast the car through the corner, gradually increasing the steering angle. Once again, wait for the front end to bite before you accelerate up the hill on the run down to 130R. 130-degree radius corner where it adopts its name. Listen as Pablo goes full throttle through the corner. Wonderful stuff. Then find the braking point for the final chicane. Don't carry too much speed on entry. Flow through the exit, hugging the inside wall to shorten the run to the line. And as Pablo waits to cross the line now, a 1 minute 30.588. Can Iberica finally translate their strong qualifying performances from Silverstone into a great race result here in Suzuka? Find out next, as qualifying will take place in only a few minutes' time. You're watching the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive. Do not leave us. Thrilling would be an understatement for the entertainment we've had to open the first 3 rounds of the season. We now enter Suzuka, Japan for round 4 of the 9-round series for the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive every week as usual for the 9-round championship. With 2 race wins, Mac Backham aims to claim his 3rd in a row, and he won't do it here at Suzuka. He won't be racing today due to personal commitments, but will the likes of Peter Berryman, Graham Carroll, maybe even Marin Cholak with his strong performances recently take more wins and increase and diversify that win list for the Pro Series? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another round of the series. Johnny Simon in the commentary booth alongside Paul Smith with Hugo Luis Broadcasting. And Paul, we enter this wonderful Suzuka circuit in qualifying. The 5.8 kilometer figure of 8 layout. It's impressive, it's technical, and it's challenging.
It's one of the classics, isn't it? It's fantastic as a Grand Prix track. Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It should be promises to be a good race here. Suzuka always seems to produce some good racing. I've always found in whatever series you drive in, but especially in the Williams Formula One car. And yeah, as you say, it's one of the great Grand Prix tracks of the world, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to this.
Certainly so. 7 minutes and 30 seconds remaining on that clock in the qualifying session. Don't forget, as always, it's a 15-minute session. You have to complete your lap before that timer ticks to 0 for anyone who's new to the series and wondering. And what is so challenging as well, Paul, is the fact that setup, and you have 1 week right now from the last round in Silverstone to develop that setup for Suzuka, which is oh so critical and oh so important, especially in terms of weight distribution and balance. And you're going to see a lot of drivers here losing the car today just because they're trying to push to find that limit.
Yeah, the setup is absolutely crucial round here at Suzuka. You've got as you say, it's a very technical track. You've got all the S's, which are pretty high speed, left-right corners. And of course you've got the long corners of Spoon, and also the demanding 130R as well. So it's really it's going to be a challenge for them, and it should be good as we see Marin Cholak just on the screen at the moment now.
Here is Marin Cholak on the run down to 130R, known for the 130 meter radius of the corner. Sweeps the car in and looks for the braking point for the Casio triangle. And it's been a strong start to the season for Marin Cholak, who's positioned himself well in the championship to get that World Championship license. And here he comes to cross the line and complete his second lap of the session. He improves a 1 minute 29.668, and it improves him to second on the grid. So right behind Martin van Loozenhoort, who holds provisional pole, and Marin Cholak splits the Apex Racing UK cars. Graham Carroll, our round 1 winner, in 3rd position. We're waiting for a few more names to pop up in the order pool. Kazuki Mishima just comes home in 4th position. And as well, we're waiting for Danny Garcia-Falol, who's currently at the Spoon Curve. For Michael Dinkel, though, who hasn't completed a lap time, is coming towards the end of his lap. Hopefully, a good run out of this final corner.
Yeah, the exit of the chicane, the Casio chicane, is so crucial to get on the power nice and early, to get as good a run down the straight, and he just hugs to the right-hand side to try and carry as much speed, and across the line he goes to currently being 7th place with a 129.762.
Yeah, Michael Dinkel really needs to improve his qualifying performances, and he does so here today. Currently in 7th, this is the only session not splitted, as Peter Berryman steals that pole position away from his teammate Martin van Loozenhoort. And how about Juho Abe? They're in 3rd position, a 1 minute 29.630. Great stuff from him. And Riley Preston in the 5th position for Evolution Racing Australia. He's an underrated driver out there, Paul, and you see, sometimes when you're overlooked, you get even more impressive performances like this, simply because nobody expects you to set those fast times.
Rowley had a good solid round last time down at Silverstone, so he really enjoyed it himself, but obviously felt that he could go better, and he's showing that so far. Juho Abe as well had a disastrous Silverstone round last time out, so he'll be hoping for a much better result this time round at Suzuka.
We've had a different pole sitter each round of the series, so right now we could be seeing that again. As Jonas Nukarainen, we currently follow him in the Radicals Online car, and he's coming towards the Degner curves here. Only one line you can take through this corner, any other will send you straight off the racetrack into the gravel. Now he's currently on an outlap, and he's hoping to maybe set a good time here, just following him through the hairpin. Marcus Gaton and Vedran Kral, also 2 other drivers who haven't set a lap time. Vedran just slots into that 25th position. Jonas now, Spoon Curve, flows through. Still waiting to see if anybody can steal pole position away from Peter Berryman. And this is the first round of the season, Paul, where the WCS introduced that dynamic track where it rubbers in. We're back here again, and we're going to see towards the end of the session, the same way it worked in the World Championship, is that drivers are going to be knocked off pole, so Peter's session is far from over.
Absolutely, you want to make sure that you're the last car across the line at the end of the session, just so that you have the best track conditions possible to be able to get a good lap time. As well, Eunice now just having to try and set a lap time at the moment because he hasn't been able to so far.
Yeah, Yunus Nukarana now on his hot lap. And this will be his first timed lap of the session with only 2 minutes and 55 seconds remaining. He needs a crucial time here because Suzuka, it's not easy as Van Loosenhoorn steals pole position away from Peter Berryman, his teammate. Great stuff from Martin Van Loosenhoorn, but for Yunus Nukarana on the run down to the Degner curves, oh, maybe misses the apex a little bit there. Might have lost the 10th pole as he runs down to the hairpin.
It's so easy to just miss that apex through the first Degner, and that speed that you've lost carries all the way through to the second Degner. So yeah, maybe a 10th or 2 lost there, but quite frankly at the moment he'll be just wanting to set a lap time at the moment, and then he has time for another lap time, so he'll be hoping to get a good hot lap in after this.
Well, Yunus Nukarana currently 6th in the championship, only 1 point behind Danny Garcia Filol in that 5th position. Mac Backham leads. We'll look at that later on post-qualifying as Yunus screams towards 130R, full throttle through this corner. Let's have a listen to the rest of his lap. I'll tell you one thing, he is on the limit right now, pushing, using all of the track width, even off the track as well towards the end. Crosses the line, an 8th position for Yunus Nukarana, crucial for him, Paul, because as I mentioned, it's not going to be easy to make overtakes at Suzuka.
No, it is a tough track to overtake at, especially with so many sweeping corners. You get a lot of a loss of downforce because of the wake of the car in front, just losing you that bit of grip. So it's going to be tough to follow cars through, but you can make moves stick here around here. Possibly into the first of the Degners if you're very brave, but maybe into the hairpin after the Degners, or down towards 130R in the chicane at the end of the lap.
Well, as Yunus continues for another lap because he can't go back to the pits, he's not going to have enough time. Graham Carroll steals pole position away, so it's an Apex Racing UK 1-2-3. Danny Garcia Filol, our pole sitter from last round at Silverstone, in 4th. Yuhaway behind in 5th. Yunus looking to improve. He has enough fuel to complete this lap with 41 seconds remaining. Oh, and Spoon, he's lost too much time, and that's the end of his lap. Basically, he's lost too much time from that. I doubt he'll improve. It'll be very optimistic if he does, but towards the end of the lap, Paul, here, he's gonna have to nail it to improve his lap time.
He's going to have to nail it just to try maybe sneak in and get one more lap under his belt, because he is just coming out of the chicane and there's still... Oh, as he loses control, that's going to spoil the start of a possible future lap. So that's pretty much it for Yunus. So, yeah, not the best of laps from him.
Yeah, he was the last guy out on track, so the session will tick to 0, and that is it. Graham Carroll will take pole position for round 4 at Suzuka, and he's out first multiple pole... Sorry, he's not... Our run continues, excuse me, I got mixed up with the race wins there. So Graham Carroll becomes our 4th different pole sitter. So our winner from round 1. Once again, incredible stuff from him. And for the Apex Racing UK team, even more incredible. A 1-2-3 for them as they head the qualifying standings. Just in front of Iberica Racing's Danny Garcia Filol, a 10th and a half behind pole position. Yuhaway right there in 5th position. Good session from him. Just in front of Marin Cholak in 6th, and Riley Preston impressing as always in that 7th position. Then it's the lucky fast Finn Yunus Nukarana with his incredible talent in 8th position, just in front of the speedy Yuta Saito and Frederick Evers, who rounds out the top 10. Great qualifying performance from Michael Dinkel, who needs to improve. And then right down the order, we see the rest of the grid. Good session from Kazuki Umeshima as well. Pablo Lopez in 14th. He's a lot faster than that, so it'd be good to see where he can... maybe he can make his way up through the field during the race. Marcus Hamilton, he's definitely improved from his qualifying woes from the start of the year. And a few more notable names down the order. Let's see if Samuel Clark can get himself up into the top order for TNT Racing. And the PSR guys struggling this round. Kevin Siggy in 28th. Diogo Oliveira in 32nd. And Fernando Guerrero in last place, 33rd. So they've got a lot of work to do to improve in the race. Maybe the race pace is a lot better than we've seen in qualifying. So that is qualifying all but wrapped up for round 4 at Suzuka. Thanks for joining us, but it's not over. The race coming up soon. Before that though, pre-race and post-qualifying coverage, you're watching the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive. Post-qualifying coverage here for the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series Round 4 from Suzuka, and it's Apex Racing UK's Graham Carroll who snatches pole position away from his two teammates Martin van Loosenhoorn and Peter Berryman. For Graham Carroll though, that journey began right here at the start of his lap on a pursuit towards pole position, and we'll ride on board with him for that thriller lap around the Suzuka circuit. A 1 minute 29.466 for Graham Carroll. What a lap there, Paul. And we looked, throughout that lap, it seemed like he was under control. What I liked most notably was the fact that he was pushing to the limit at a narrow track like Suzuka. If you're not using every single millimeter of width, you're going to lose a couple of tenths here and there. So it was great to see Graham pushing right up close to the grass and the white lines.
Absolutely, he was on the absolute ragged edge of adhesion there, and had a little just a little tiny wiggle out of the second Egner and out of 130, out of Spoon, sorry, as well. So could have lost if he could have lost it if it was worse, but managed to keep a hold of the car. But yeah, absolutely on the limit there. Fantastic to watch such commitment from Graham Carroll.
A 1 minute 30.650 was the 2015 World Championship Series pole position time. That was set by Coanda Simsport's Martin Kroenke. In the end, it was Mitchell de Jong who won that event. And as I mentioned, the first event that we saw the dynamic track coming into implementation. And Graham Carroll saved that lap till last. And it goes to show, once again, Paul, oh so crucial is that a lot of the guys who are up there, up in the order in that top 10, were guys who set their laps towards the latter stages of qualifying. And I think people need to learn to get that banker lap, maybe an 80% push rate, if that even is a word or a phrase, and then push 100% once you come towards the end of qualifying.
No, you're absolutely right. You do want to make sure that you do get a good lap time in, and then just have one in the bank that you have in your pocket there as like a real sort of push lap, a real sort of on the edge lap, and you want to save it towards the end of the session as well to try and get the best track conditions. I mean, we have got the track conditions are quite ideal actually for the tyres as well, so it's not too hot on track, so you're able to push the tyres a lot and able to go for a good lap time.
Only 10 minutes until the race, so we're going to cover a lot of things in that time. And part of that is strategy here today. Now, a few drivers down the order for the likes of Pablo Lopez, Marcus Hamilton and Paul Williams, who are in those 14th to 16th positions. I remember Gregor Hutu here in the race this year, starting from 13th, ended up finishing in 3rd. Now, technically he did finish 4th, but Ollie, his teammate, led him through for some extra championship points. So for those guys down the order, Paul, it's not difficult. Oh, no, sorry, it's not going to be impossible to make it up the order, but it's still going to be a little bit difficult, and strategy comes into play once again for this round. They're drivers, such as what Dinkel did last round at Silverstone, who may consider one-stopping this race.
Yeah, there will be drivers that will consider that. They'll have seen what Dinkel did last time out and think, if I can make the tyres last, and if I can keep a good pace, then they will hopefully be able to push on and make a one-stop work. It'll be tough because, as you say, because there's so many technical parts and because you've got weight transfer going from one side to the other around the twisty sections, that can unbalance the car a little bit. So it could mean that you're too slow throughout the race to make a one-stop work. But I'm sat here, I'm not behind the wheel, so what do I know?
Well, you do know a lot. You do a lot of racing. That's why we got you in the commentary booth. The championship standings for us. Hugo, that was good timing, just as you said it as well. Mac Backham leads on 112 points. He's not here this round, but we know that you are allowed a drop round for the first 7 weeks of the season, so Mac will take that drop round here today. Nevertheless, even Mac, for Mac Paul, he's not really concerned with winning the championship. He wants that WCS license, which he's pretty much almost guaranteed at this stage. So we look at the rest of the championship standings for you before I get you to comment on that. Graham Carroll in second, 96. Peter Berryman, 93. Down the order, I'd say right now, in that 25th spot where Fulvio Battazzini is, the likes behind, drivers the likes of Paul Williams, Samuel Clark, Marcus Caton, Michele Mancusi as well, Marcus Hamilton, definitely. There are drivers outside of that top 25, Paul, who you would say all they need is to get a good, consistent result. And they're not drivers you're going to see down outside of the top 25. So I have a feeling that this season's far from done in the early stages.
No, absolutely not. There's still quite a few rounds to go yet, and as you say, there's some names down there that you don't expect to see outside the top 25. I say, like Marcus Hamilton is starting 15th on today's race, so he's got a good chance of possibly moving forward and getting some good points for this round. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. It's going to be tough because those guys that are in around that, the later in the season they go, if you're still in around that 25th position, it's going to get more and more desperate for you.
Along with Mac Backham, Benjamin Lindsay and Oscar Mangan also not racing here today. Emil Henriksen is definitely, I saw his name somewhere in qualifying, there he is, in 25th position. Now, when you're down the order at Suzuka, Paul, I mentioned strategy is key. what else can you do, especially on the narrow run down to turn 1? What else can you do in those early stages of the race, where you lose the most time if you're down the order because everybody's starting to settle into formation? What can you do in the back of the pack to make up the time and avoid losing time towards the leaders? Let's say if you're a driver who should have been on pole but qualified in 20th position.
It's so difficult around Suzuka, especially the first half of the lap, to be able to make up lots of ground. I think in the first half of the first lap of this race, it'll be a case of just staying out of trouble, not getting any damage, because it's so easy to do, because it is narrow, that everybody filters down into one line, and you can have instants, especially into turn 2. So they'll be trying to avoid damage, and then it's a case of just picking your places, looking at where you're faster and able to make moves on people, so that you're able to progress forward. It is a long race. It's going to be tough, but if you can work a strategy as well, as we've been saying, if you can eke out an extra 2 laps, maybe 3 laps out of your fuel, and able to really put the hammer down to put in some hot laps towards the end of your stint, then possibly you can jump people as well in the pit stops there as well.
Timing and scoring for this race, as always, will be available on RaceSpotTV/timing. So open that up, use it during the race. We'll be keeping track of all the drivers as well here in the commentary booth using the same RaceSpotTV/timing. A great feature. It's there for a reason. Use it, ladies and gentlemen. And also, Paul, 53 laps of racing. The pit windows, lap 17 to 23 for that first stop. And then we have lap 30 to 36. Fuel as well. There are going to be some drivers out there who want to extend their stint by 1 or 2 laps, and we've seen it every single round, especially in this Williams, as the McLaren, by the way, released on the 18th of December, or will be released on the 8th of December, excuse me. That's going to be fun, but for now we still have the Williams, so refueling still allowed. Is that if you can extend your stint by a couple of laps, that's going to be crucial at Suzuka in jumping track position.
Yeah, absolutely. As we say, it's you're able to then get the free space to be able to put some good laps in, good fast laps, so you're able to push and able to get that ground in the cleaner air. But of course, if you're stuck in a big pack of cars, then it's more difficult to do that. So maybe it's worth coming in a little bit earlier to try and jump them that way and get the clean air that way.
That's post-qualifying pre-race all but done for the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series 4th round at Suzuka. Join us for the race in just a couple of minutes' time. Do not leave us. It's going to be thrilling. We've had 3 thrilling races to open up the season. Let's make it 4 from 4. Do not leave us after these small messages. It's race time for round 4 at Suzuka. The drivers out here in warm-up with only 2 minutes remaining until we take to the grid for the race. It's Graham Carroll on pole position, a 1-2-3 for the Apex Racing UK team, and can Graham claim his second win of the season? We'll have to wait and see and find out in a minute and a half time. Johnny Simon in the commentary booth alongside Paul Smith, Hugo Luis broadcasting for us on cameras. And Paul, we spoke about it in the post-qualifying coverage. For Graham and Apex Racing UK, it's optimistic. But for Iberica Racing, a team that needs a good result, they've been so strong in qualifying, especially last round. Start is going to be crucial. Hopefully not another catastrophic one for Danny Garcia-Filol in 4th place.
Yeah, Danny Garcia-Filol, it was well, I think the only word for it was an aberration. Was that start last week? He just did not get off the line well, and that first lap was an absolute disaster for him. So he'll be hoping for a better start, because you can't afford to do that here at Suzuka, as we've been discussing on the pre-race show. So 4th place, he'll be hoping to make up maybe 2 spots at the start, and be able to push Graham Carroll for the lead.
So Graham Carroll on that pole position, as I mentioned. Down the order as well, a few notable names. Pablo Lopez in 14th. And what about Paul Williams in 16th? He's a lot stronger than we've seen him in this Pro Series, Paul. That's a bit of a conundrum there. For Paul Williams as well, he's right behind Marcus Hamilton. So he's right there in a group of a few strong, quick drivers. What about Jorge Montañez behind? Don't forget Alvaro Romero. These are guys who are, they're known for being in packs all the time, and they can race in packs. Now for Paul, all he has to do is stay consistent and finish this race, which is the most important part of the Pro Series, is to gain those points and achieve a top 25 result.
Yep, it's what everyone's aiming for. That's why they're all here. It's to try and get into that Grand Prix World Series at the end of at the start of next season. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really fun to watch. Though I'm looking forward to this race. It's gonna be intriguing to see how drivers cope with this track. As you say, a few people will lose control around here because it is a very, very tough track.
Yeah, especially Degner too. That's going to be very interesting. And only 30 seconds left until the lights illuminate and disappear for round 4. It was Graham Carroll in round 1, Mac Backham in rounds 2 and 3. He's not here today. Will we claim our new race winner, or will Carroll claim his second win of the season? So we wait for another 10 seconds. Wait for those lights to illuminate. The nerves build up in this situation. Everybody taking to the grid. All 33 drivers as they stare and wait for 53 laps of racing. Graham Carroll on pole, a very short run down to the first corner, and we go green here at Suzuka. Oh, great start on the front row from Martin van Loosenhoorn. What about Peter Berryman as well? And a big accident in the back of the pack on the front stretch. And into turn 1, it's still Apex Racing 1-2-3 with Martin van Loosenhoorn in second. Couldn't jump Graham Carroll, but down the order, Paul, lots of contact. Yeah,
Michael Dinkel got turned around there. Or did he get turned around, or did he just lose to the back end? I'm just having a look at it. Yeah, it just seemed to just suddenly lose control. It was just clipped, and that sent him round. He's got front end damage.
Oh, Pablo Lopez here in 14th position in lots of mad scrambles. Almost collected Jorge Montañez there, but they leave each other space, and into Degner 1. Horrible entry, and Pablo struggling right now in that 15th position. He's dropped some spots. Eunice Nukarainen down the order in 10th. The same for Riley Preston, but Yuta Saito runs very wide at the hairpin, and that allows Riley Preston maybe claiming 8th position here, but Yuta fights back. So a big accident at the hip, and I'm not sure who's involved in that one.
Dinkel again is just coming around there. It was Vincenzo Amico.
Oh, so Vincenzo Amico. His race is taking a turn for the worse, so not the cleanest start we've had here. Incredible stuff. So normally we've had clean starts to start the Pro Series. No safety cars or anything like that, so we wait for Graham Carroll to complete that first lap, and he still holds the lead here. Lap 2 of 53. Yuta Saito, great battle right now with Tomo Meglek, and well, he can't make his way through. Tomo Meglic actually almost making his way through. Oh, for Yuta Saito though, he's turned around and he's hit the wall. Car upside down, incredible stuff here. And this has been such a scruffy first lap from these drivers. We've seen a lot better than this, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. You say it's a scruffy start and Yuta just ended up upside down. That's really unfortunate. It's so easy to lose control of the car though out of that Casio chicane, but luckily nobody else collected him.
So Graham Carroll leads at the end of the first lap, then from Martin van Loosenhoort, Peter Berryman in third, and it's Marin Cholak and Danny Garcia for low. What a start from Marin Cholak in fourth position. Gained 2 spots, Danny Garcia lost 2 spots, and now Paul Williams, his race, he stopped in the gravel right there. Oh my goodness, more and more retirements as the laps progress. Fernando Guerrero from last place is up into 33rd, and in front of him Diogo Oliveira also made up positions, the same for Justin Lindsay, so those guys down the back have stayed clean. We've had almost 10 cars involved in incidents here at the start, Paul.
Yeah, that pit lane is a very busy place at the moment with lots of cars there in there, so not, as we say, not the cleanest of starts, but we expected maybe 1 or 2 incidents. But yeah, it's certainly been interesting to start with.
Oh, Marcus Hamilton here on the run down to 130R, side by side, almost 3 wide as well. And in front of them, I think that's Yunus Nukarainen battling with Kazuki Umeshima, the 2 teammates there for Radicals Online, side by side at the final chicane, the Casio Triangle. And they'll begin lap 3 here as Yunus almost loses the car. That will allow a great run for Pablo Lopez in that 10th position. And on the run down to turn 1, this is going to be very hair-raising for the 2 teammates. They keep it together. Pablo Lopez will have to settle in for 10th position. Marcus Hamilton right there in 11th is just biding his time right now. Paul, he doesn't want to get too close to this battle because it certainly seemed like contact was going to be made there.
It was getting close there between the 2 teammates, so they're able to stay apart from each other for the time being. But Yunus Nukarainen certainly had the run out of the Casio chicane and wasn't able to make it stick down the Stanford straight.
So let's see Pablo Lopez here, who took us on board at the beginning of the broadcast for a wonderful GoPro lap. And deep braking into that hairpin. Marcus Hamilton the same, and that's cost Pablo Lopez right around 2 or 3 tenths. And it brings him into the clutches of Marcus Hamilton, who aims to get inside the top 10. Hamilton, who did start in the 15th position, is currently in 11th. Pablo Lopez as well up 4 positions from 14th to 10th. But we look at the lead. Graham Carroll leads by 1.4 seconds away from Martin van Loosenhoort. Then Peter Berryman behind, less than a second behind Martin van Loosenhoort. Marin Cholak in 4th. Danny Garcia for low 5th. Yuho Wade down 1 position in 6th. Riley Preston stayed stagnant towards lap 3 here, on towards lap 4 of the event. And he's currently in the 7th position. We currently look at Paul Williams, not Paul Williams, sorry, the number 57 car of Marcus Hamilton, who has lost a lot of time to Pablo Lopez. So for right there, Marcus Hamilton, who was side by side into that final chicane with Frederick Evers. So it's inconsistent battling here, Paul. We've seen drivers make contact, then we see good stuff like that, side by side into the final chicane with no contact.
Yeah, it's been a little bit messy. Drivers still trying to fight for positions while they can early on, because at the start of the race it is easier to make up positions because everyone's so close together, so they're just desperate to try and make that ground up. But Marcus Hamilton and Frederick Evers just pulling away a little bit from Christian Tanatoa.
Yeah, so at the moment we'll see if anybody can make their way up the order as well. Christian Tanato in that 13th position on the run down to Spoon right now. Don't forget, timing is available on RaceSpot.tv/timing, as always, for every event this season. And right now, Marin Cholak, who's in that 4th position, Paul, for Iberica Racing, his teammate behind Danny Garcia for Lowell in 5th. Now these 2 guys need to fight and put the pressure on Apex Racing UK, because right now, Graham Carroll, maybe he's taken a little less fuel to break away in the lead, which was very, very hair-raising because he almost lost the lead at the start. They need to catch Carroll quickly. They can't let him build a lead the same way Mac did at Silverstone.
That's it, as you say there. We saw it last week with Matt Backham able to pull away a 7-second lead at the before the first pit stops there. So Graham Carroll maybe just trying to push for a similar sort of run. He's only got a second and a half over his teammate at the moment, but he's still pushing on as Pablo Lopez and Jonas Nukarainen are all battling together.
Yeah, Jonas Nukarainen there lost the position to Pablo Lopez, so Pablo up into the 9th spot. And Jonas dropping down another position. Started in 8th, down to 10th. What a start from Pablo Lopez. Initially, during the first lap, we were talking about, Paul, how he lost maybe 2-3 positions. Now he's made his way up the field after all those incidents. So good stuff from Pablo. Kazuki Yamashima there in 8th. He's 2.2 seconds in front of Pablo, so he's got that little bit of breathing space. But look at that train at the front. The top 7 cars only split by 6 seconds. And it's good to see Riley Preston, Paul, who under pressure right now is really pushing to the limit. And he's only 7 tenths behind Yu Hawei.
Yeah, able to push on in that that car there, just through 130R now. He's just dropped back a little bit down from the exit of Spoon down to 130R, so not the best exit out of Spoon, but yeah, that Evolution Racing Australia car able to push forward.
Well, Dimitri Yanis here in the 15th position, right behind Christian Danato, and Christian lost the position, was in 13th, now in 14th, but for Dimitri Yanis, can he force Christian down the order even more? He's a bit too far behind here on the downhill run to turn 1. Maybe lunge up the inside at the last second. No, he plays the patient game. He's way too far behind, but he needs to keep in the slipstream, Paul, because maybe he might not get past Christian, but if he can save the extra lap of fuel by getting into the slipstream each lap, the car really won't overheat. He could extend his stint by a lap, and that could be the difference between one position and staying behind in a train.
Yeah, the temperature, it's not too hot, so the car's able to run close together and not worry about the cars overheating and struggle a little bit. But yeah, as much as you want to get as much in the slipstream to be able to take advantage of having less drag, so therefore better fuel economy, you're affecting your tyres as well, though. You're scrubbing the tyres more, so you may be going to wear out the tyres a little bit more around here than, say, like Silverstone last week.
Silverstone, another entertaining race in the Pro Series. In 7 days' time, we'll be at the Circuit of the Americas. For now, though, we've got another 48 laps of racing remaining in this race. And Graham Carroll completes another lap. And it'll be 47 remaining right now for the Apex Racing UK driver. And what a dominant series for them, Paul. You know, a team that's looking to gain another few strong drivers, along with Alex Simpson, Seb Job, Anton Higelin in the World Championship. Right now, with Carroll, Van Loosenhout and Berryman, they're going to have a really strong team next year.
And we've got Yanis and Cam Stark are also looking, but Yanis now making the move is Dimitri Yanis, so he's gained that position.
Sure.
And yeah, it's able to make the move sticking to turn 1.
Yeah, good stuff from Dimitri Yanis the inside and the outside, and Christian Danato down into the 15th position there, and Cam Stark also trying to capitalize on Christian Tanahato's demise through the field. For Cam Stark, another Apex Racing UK driver, see what he can do there. Hasn't been the strongest this round. And a few other drivers down the order. Ricardo Torres are in 20th position now. On the exit of Degner 2 gets past, I think that is Samuel Clark, who's made a mistake. Samuel Clark losing 2 positions. Justin Lindsay also capitalizing on that. I think Kevin Siggy as well did the same. So actually Kevin Siggy in front was watching a side-by-side battle. So we're having battles throughout the order here. So Caton, Cam Stark, there's a little bit of a train down the order. Let's see what they can produce for us on the exit of Spoon, on the run down to 130R.
Yeah, down towards 130R. It's such a tricky part. It's challenging. It's flat out in these cars, so you just got to make sure you turn in at the right point to scrub as little speed off the car as possible. And then you've got to get your braking right down into this Casio chicane. This is an overtaken opportunity, but nobody really taking advantage of that so far.
For those following RaceSpot.tv/timing, you may have noticed Graham Carroll's lead was up to 2.4 seconds at one stage. It is now only down to 2.2 seconds as Christian Tanahato also loses another position to Marcus Caton, who's straight up the inside into turn 1. Great stuff from Marcus Caton. who started this race in the 24th position, now up into 15th. So good stuff from him. And what about this battle once again here? Ricardo Torres and Diogo Oliveira. Sorry, no, that's Justin Lindsay. Good stuff from the Coanda Simsport driver, who's made his way up through the field. And Samuel Clark, I thought I saw a driver slowing down there, but Samuel Clark's lost a few more positions. This is where mental strength comes into play, Paul. You make one mistake, you need to bounce back soon, or else you're going to fall down the order straight away.
It's so easy to make a mistake. You make one mistake and then it so easily follows on with another and then another and another, and it just snowballs. So it's so easy to do that. You've got to make sure you focus, you make sure you just put it out of your mind that you made that mistake and just get back on it, because you really need to be on it in a race like this.
Kevin Siggy in the 18th position in the number 67 car, right behind Cam Stark, only 4/10 behind. Waits for the front end to bite on that positive sim racing car. It's only 3/10 now, just tucking into the slipstream. He's gaining a lot of time on Cam. Cam Stark did win the Indy 500 this year, only by 0.008 of a second. Incredible stuff. It's a whole different ball game in road racing in the Pro Series. Trying to get that World Championship license for 2016. And on the exit of the Casio Triangle, the final chicane, beginning a new lap. Kevin seems to be a little too far back. And you can see where drivers have set up their cars differently, Paul, is some drivers have elected for more of a... apologies there, a couple of technical issues. Some drivers have gone for more rear traction coming out of corners, but some have elected for balance and maybe front end grip. And you can see the difference through where drivers gain time and where drivers lose time, Paul.
Yeah, if you're able to get the exit out of corners, then you're able to carry that speed all the way down a straight, so you're able to possibly make a move there. But to counter that though, if you're faster through the corners, then you're able to carry the speed going onto the straight, so it kind of cancels itself out a little bit, but certainly in the first half of the lap, you see those cars that have gone for the balance really coming to the fore, but then in the second half of the lap it's more open, there's a lot more full throttle sections, so you're able to see those cars that have maybe gone for a little bit more top end, a little bit more speed, to be able to catch up again.
Martin van Loosenhoed 1/10 faster than Graham Carroll last time around. The gap now 2.2 seconds. It was 2.3 the lap before. What about Peter Berryman? Let's track him there. Only 2 seconds behind Van Loosenhoed. So the top three here separated by 4.2. Then the Iberica Racing drivers of Marin Cholak and Danny Garcia Filol. Only a couple of seconds between those guys, who are right behind Peter in that third position. Riley Preston as well, maintaining his gap to Danny Garcia Filol, 1.3 seconds. The rest of the top 10, Yuho Abe, Kazuki Mishima, Yunus Nukarainen, and Pablo Lopez. Down the order, Marcus Caton is very, very close to Dimitri Yanis. Now, Caton stayed quiet, and as they pass the lapped car here of, I believe that is Balazar Remeniak, who was involved in some early incidents. A few DNFs, let's look at that for the moment. Emil Henriksen, David de Korps, Alvaro Romero, Paul Williams, Yuta Saito, and Vedran Kral. Now for Yuta and Paul there, Paul Williams there, what they need right now, Paul, is the fact that, you've got a few DNFs, you can take the drop week, and it's also crucial for them as we look at some replays of the start, as it's also crucial for them to just bounce back from this in the next few rounds.
Dimitri Yanis, by the way, just ran wide round Spoon and he's lost a place to Caton. So he's now trying to make the move back into 130R, but as I say, as we were looking at replays there at the start, but yeah, Yanis just ran wide through Spoon.
Yeah, and he's off the track at 130R, back on, nothing too pivotal. Nothing vital, but for Dimitri Yanis right now, needs to make his way back up through the field. For Marcus Caton, though, he'll be smiling in that 14th position. And Cam Stark and Kevin Siggy right now. Look at Cam Stark, only a 10th behind Christian Tanahato into the first corner. Great defending by Christian into turn one, side by side for both of them. And Cam Stark claims that 16th position. Great racing from the man from Britain. And Kevin Siggy right behind as well. Can he capitalize on Christian Tanahato's demise? As we spoke about on lap 10 of the event, good stuff from Kevin Siggy right now, who's making his way up through the field for the Positive Sim Racing team. but he'll have to stick behind through the S's. And dirty air once again, Paul, through those S's. You're going to see who has the loose front ends and who's elected for the understeer cars, just by who loses a lot of time and who doesn't lose that much time, as Christian Tanahato has a very, very loose exit on the run out of Degner 2.
Yeah, Kevin Sigge is looking very busy at the moment. He's trying to get past now, and Christian just having to just refocus himself, because he'll be trying to get back past Cam Start, but Cam able to just pull away about a couple of tenths gap so far. But yeah, Kevin Sigge is looking good so far, with Justin Lindsay though right behind him. That's going to be a lot of pressure from Justin.
Yeah, Justin up 11 positions. What a great race from him. The only Coanda SimSport driver out there. And Riley Preston's only 8/10 behind Danny Garcia Filol. We'll keep track of that. Right now, though, Pablo Lopez has slowed down out of that final chicane, and he's lost a position to Marcus Hamilton. We'll hopefully get a replay of that soon, but it seemed that Pablo Lopez may have lost the car on the exit, and that allows Marcus Hamilton a position, and for Marcus as well, into the top 10 right now, up 5 positions. Could be a promising end to this race for him if he keeps it together.
Yeah, absolutely, could be good for him. Pablo Lopez doing a fantastic job to not end up into the end of the pit roll like we saw on the first lap. So did a very good job there, and has only lost one place there. So to be honest, he'll be annoyed that he lost control of the car, but he'll be happy that it wasn't worse.
Yeah, certainly so. As Marcus Hamilton in that 10th position is maybe hopefully gaining a little bit of time on Eunice in 9th position. If not, could be maybe a one-stop race. Now remember, we did mention the pit windows for these drivers. Laps 17 to 23, we're waiting for that first stop. The second stop will take place on lap 30 to 36. So those are the two windows. If you are one-stopping, you do want to go around 50% distance, which will be lap 27 of the event. You can keep track of everything on the top of your screen. All of our wonderful graphics and layouts provided by And1 Design, who as always support us very, very well at RaceSpotTV for all the series we broadcast. For now though, the Pro Series, producing more and more entertainment as always. The same for Riley Preston, Paul, who's very, very close to Danny Garcia Filol.
Yeah, Riley Preston just coming onto the back of Filol now. He's slowly been gaining that time. He was a 10th faster that last lap, and he'll be hoping for a good result today. As we were saying, he had big hoping to get improved, be able to move forward. He's 20th in the championship so far, so like I say, he'll be hoping to improve, move forward, and maybe Filol. It's going to be a tough act to follow his Filol, because he is a quick driver.
Oh, Christian Tanahato here, Paul, on the exit of turn 2, has lost a lot of time as he just saved the car, but he's lost a lot of time and positions there. So another poor performance from Christian Tanahato, and I feel like he may have damage on that car, possibly, as Samuel Clark in front of him runs wide on the exit of Degner 2. Already we're seeing, there's two types of drivers this race, Paul. The drivers who've kept their mental strength and who stay strong, and drivers who have made one mistake keep making the same mistakes. And it's not like one driver's had a great start and then fallen down the order. It's been, the same drivers who've made mistakes are making them. The drivers who are staying strong are staying strong.
Yeah, and that's generally what you'll find. You'll find that certain type of driver is able to keep that mental strength, keep pushing, and just put it to the back of their minds that they made a mistake. They'll learn from those mistakes. But then there's other drivers who just maybe get a little bit of the red mist comes down, and get a bit sort of tense and when you get tense in the racing cars, you tend to make more mistakes, so it can just exacerbate things.
Certainly can. There's Riley Preston in the 6th position. Now, why is he 6th there? Has somebody fallen down the order? It was Riley always in 6th.
No, it was 6, yeah.
It was 6th, my bad. Yeah, no, Yuho Abe. Yeah, so Yuho Abe's dropped down the order. And I think Riley Preston's made up a position there. So Yuho Abe, I had a feeling that Riley wasn't in that 6th position. So this was quite a while back though. It was my bad. As Yuho Abe in that 7th position. He's still trundling away, only 8/10 behind. Now, improvements you can make week by week. I'm not sure what you can do, Paul. You know, you're a driver who's raced a lot. You know, the iRacing format as well is sort of every week's a different race. You know, what can you do? You know, there are some drivers who will perform better with more testing time. Right now, for the likes of, as I think Marin Cholak, we've lost him from the screen. Hopefully he comes back. He does come back. What can you do in 1 week's testing, Paul, that will benefit you and still make driver improvements?
It's all about seat time, it's all about learning the track and basically making it muscle memory, so the more testing that you can do, the better, because you're less likely to make mistakes around a track. So you want to get that good amount of testing in the week ahead, but also work on a setup as well, so that then on the day you can just be able to push on and make those little tweaks to the setup.
Ricardo Torres and Samuel Clark here side by side on the main straight. 39 laps remaining in the event. Ricardo Torres, just gets in front of Samuel Clark there. That was very close. Samuel Clark running wide again, another time. And he's pushed too hard in this race, I think, Paul. And Suzuka, you need to find the limit. I think Samuel Clark's just pushing a little bit too wide. Yes, he was fighting with Ricardo there, but at the same time, we've seen him at Degner 2. It may happen again this lap if he keeps pushing. We may see him making a mistake. As Marcus Caton actually has spun on the exit of Degner 2, talking about that, and some damage to his vehicle after such a promising race.
Katana, he's pulled over there at the side of the road. That's going to be his race, surely. And disaster for him to lose out there in the Degner 2. But it's so easy to do that. It's so easy to just run wide. He seemed to clip the apex in the first Degner fine, but then the second Degner just put the wheel. Put wheels onto the AstroTurf, and it's just kicked him round. And everyone else doing a fantastic job to avoid his car, because it was just across the track there, across the racing line.
Yeah, he's beached himself onto that curb and he's hit the wall. And unfortunately for Marcus Caton, who did start the race in the 24th position, and he's falling down the order right now, out of the race as well. That lead battle though, Paul, only 1.2 seconds. And for Martin van Loosenhoorn, half a second faster than Graham Carroll last lap around. And for Graham Carroll right now, he is under pressure in the early stages of this event.
Now, is this a case of Graham Carroll just pacing himself, looking after the tyres and maybe trying to extend his fuel window? Or is it a case that Martin van Loosenhoorn has just found something that the conditions have changed in his favour for his setup, that the more rubber that goes down on the track, the better that setup will go towards his setup. So maybe we're finding that with Martin, because he has certainly been catching up in the last few laps.
Sorry, Paul. Pablo Lopez into the wall and upside down here. And I'm not sure what part of the track that is, but for Pablo Lopez, oh my goodness me, what an incident. And he is out of the race. So the Iberica Racing team once again, I believe that's on the run out of the hairpin. That's a ridiculous incident looking at the replay. That's absolutely ridiculous. How did he lose the car there?
It looks like he maybe just clipped the curbing that's on the right hand side there, that's for the motorbike chicane, and that's just sent him round, and unfortunately for him, he's in the wall, and that's his race run.
I have a feeling as well, I don't think he actually touched the curb. I have a feeling, Paul, it seems like he turned in too early and was gonna skip across that curb and bounce. He tried to correct the car on the straight, and downforce, it just lost the grip when he was trying to adjust the car. That's a ridiculous incident. We don't see that often. It's as if he has DRS on that car, because the aero just kicked away from him. He couldn't control it. It just seemed like the car just gave up on him.
Yeah, it wasn't unusual one, was that? But sometimes these things can happen, and it just kicked out on him, and unfortunately for him, he's out of the race. Just a quick note, Marin Cholak has caught up a lot of time and is now battling with Peter Berryman.
Yeah, Marin Cholak only 6/10 behind Peter Berryman, 2/10 faster last lap around, and now into that slipstream he can save a little bit of fuel and maybe gain a little bit more time on those top three leaders. The gap between first and third, only 4.7 seconds. The gap between the top two though, only 1.5 now, as Martin van Loosenhoorn As Graham Carroll crosses the line, Van Loozenhoorn is only 1/10 slower this time around than Graham Carroll. So Graham's certainly listened to you, Paul, and he's picked up the pace here with 36 laps remaining.
Yeah, he must have a direct link to my voice
Commentary.
But yeah, he certainly has just picked up that pace a little bit, as you say, 1/10 faster that last lap, so able to just manage that gap. But it might be that he's just managing that gap. He's happy to keep it about 1.5 seconds and maybe push it out to 3.5 seconds as it was earlier.
Yeah, so right now, let's see if Graham Carroll can keep this pace in the lead. And, a couple of drivers swapping positions down the order. No, that's Graham Carroll, Samuel Clark entering the pits there in the 21st position. He's had a topsy-turvy race. You could say it's been like a roller coaster. Finds his pit box. And this pit lane, Paul, right here, when you aim to get into your box, it's very, very bumpy due to the downhill nature and the undulation. Yeah,
it's a concrete pit apron as well, so it's not the smoothest, but downhill it's tough to make sure that you get on your marks correctly. But Samuel coming out the pits now, back on off the pit limiter and able to pull away from there. So 8.2 second pit stop. That's going to be about normal really for a two-stop strategy.
So right now, as we look at the wonderful Christian Tanato there in the 19th position, it's another race for him, Paul, where he's fallen down the order, hasn't really been the strongest with pace as Riley Preston enters that pit lane from the 6th position. Hasn't been the strongest race for Tanahato, but right now if he can just finish the race, he'll claim some good points.
Yeah, good solid points for him. It's what he needs. He's down in 24th at the moment, so he needs to get good points to just pull away from that drop zone of the 26th and below. So he'll be pushing on. He'll try and get some good points to go on into the next part of the season.
So right now, Riley Preston out and away, exits that pit lane. Now he needs some clear track right now. Diogo Oliveira will not get in front of him. So Riley Preston currently in 17th effectively. He's the first of the main leaders to enter that pit lane. So waiting for a few other drivers to pounce. Right now they're on lap 18. We know that pit window has opened, so we're expecting another few drivers to enter the pit lane soon. Let's see if anybody in that top 3, Paul, will pounce early. And we thought Graham Carroll was fueled lightly. Maybe seems like he wasn't, because at the moment he's sort of on the pace with Van Loozenhoorn and Berryman. It's very hard to tell right now, but I have a feeling that the Apex Racing UK team, all 3 cars, may enter the pit lane at the same time.
Well, they did last week, as Graham Carroll stays out for another lap, as done Van Loozenhoorn, and so does Peter Berryman, Cholak as well staying out. So this top group, this top 5 certainly staying out, top 6 staying out. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when those guys come in, because there is going to be a bit of swapping and a bit of change in the pit stops, I feel, because they could try and push on and make these pit strategy work and get some positions made up.
Yeah, I was stuttering as well, because Peter Berryman ran very wide at turn 1 and 2, and that might have allowed Marin Cholak to claim that 3rd position up into the podium. And right now, for Marin Cholak, he's been the strongest, the most consistent, I think, of those Iberica Racing drivers. And you can see right there in the championship as well for Marin Cholak, I mean, in the 4th position, the highest placed of the Iberica guys. And that consistency is key, as I always mention. Let's see if he can finish this race on a strong note. Right now we're waiting for more drivers to enter that pit lane. And Riley Preston's lap time will be interesting. Let's see if he can catch up to Ricardo Torres. But hopefully not, because he doesn't want to be impeded and lose time in traffic. So right now, Paul, we wait again for Graham Carroll. Maybe he'll pounce and enter the pit lane early. 1/10 faster than Martin Van Loozenhoorn last lap. Another 2/10 faster than Peter Berryman, and Graham Carroll enters the pit lane for Van Loozenhoorn. He continues, and that could be critical to claiming the lead from his teammate. So does Peter Berryman, so we were correct, actually, that Graham Carroll was fueled lightly.
Absolutely, as Carroll comes down the pit lane, there's a few other cars coming in as well, so Abe and Nukkarainen are into the pits as well as Marcus Hamilton. So, yeah, the pit stops are starting in earnest now, but Graham Carroll, he was our race leader. How quick will his pit stop be? We're about to find out. It's quite a long one, actually, 9 seconds. So, longest of the front runners that have, of the people that have pitted so far. So, yeah, it's not the best pit stop, and it'll be crucial to see what Martin van Loosenhoorn can do now with a lighter car and a completely clear track in front of him.
I'll tell you what's worse. Graham Carroll is right behind Dimitri Yannis in some traffic, but Yannis is on the lighter side with fuel, so he might not hold up Graham too much. It might actually benefit Graham where getting that slipstream and maybe increasing lap or reducing lap time. So right now Martin van Loosenhoorn needs some quick laps here to bounce and pass his teammate. Will he claim a race win? It's only the early stages with 33 laps remaining. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, coming towards 130R are the two Apex Racing UK leaders of Van Loosenhoorn and Berryman. Marin Cholak right behind as well. Let's not forget, Paul, Cholak can also extend his stint and maybe jump a couple of positions here. Van Loosenhoorn, though, enters that pit lane. Let's see Peter Berryman as well out of the final chicane. Berryman continues, but he's a bit too far behind to maybe jump position
Cholak
to Van Loosenhoorn. So Marin Cholak also in the pit lane. Umashima continues. What about Danny Garcia-Falol? He enters the pits. So right now for Martin van Loosenhoorn, we await Graham Carroll, who is at 130R, who may lose the lead or may continue in first position.
So yeah, Van Loosenhoorn, he'll be hoping that it's a quicker pit stop and that he was able to get a good lap time in on that lap, as we're just waiting for the car to come down. 8.5 seconds, so 0.5 is a second faster than Graham Carroll's pit stop. But Carroll's coming down the pit straight now. It's going to be close between the two, and Carroll is just going to go around the outside of Van Loosenhoorn, but Van Loosenhoorn certainly is a lot closer now than he was before the pit stops.
Yeah, half a second faster in the pit stops, but not enough to steal the lead away from Graham Carroll. And that goes to show, Paul, you know, if you're 1 second behind, sometimes that's not enough. You want to be 2-3 tenths behind your teammate just so you can jump him in the pit stops, and that was crucial. Now Van Loosenhoorn needs to stick into the slipstream. His tyres are 1 lap fresher as well. That may make a very, very slight difference, if anything, as Samuel Clark actually joins our retirement list as well. Hopefully we'll look and see what happened there. So for Van Loosenhoorn right now, all he needs to do is stay within breathing distance of Graham Carroll, and that may be enough in the second stint to jump him on strategy, or maybe he can do it on the racetrack earlier.
It'll be interesting to see as Peter Berryman now comes into the pits as well, so he's making his pit stop. So all 3 Apex cars going 1 lap after the other on the pit strategy. So if that's a conscious choice by the team to do that, then it'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, so Berryman looking for that pit box right now. Look at the car bouncing as well. Very, very bumpy here. I commentated for the Finnish Sim Racing Championship, and they were at Suzuka, and those, I think it was in the roof cars, were bouncing quite a lot in the pit lane. And it's no different in these Williams FW31 cars. Good pit stop from Peter Berryman, and loses a bit of traction on the exit. Those are his 2 teammates feeding out of the pits. But for Peter Berryman right now, will Cam Stark let him through? He doesn't need to, because Peter Berryman beats him out of the pit lane. And this is what I talk about, Paul. You get lucky and you find that, not just lucky, but if you're smart on strategy and you find that, you know, track gap where there's no traffic. Right now, Peter Berryman, he's listed as only 9 tenths behind Martin van Loosenhoorn, which is incorrect. He's got a lot more time in front of him. Most crucially, a clear track.
Yep, clear track, that's what he needed. Cam Stark, you'd imagine if they're running on this sort of strategy where it's one after the other, then you'd imagine Cam Stark will be the next one in for that Apex Racing team. And, well, yeah, it's Umashima at the front at the moment, just going through 130R now, so will he come into the pits this time?
Yes, so Kazuki Umashima effectively leads this race. Now, I also have a feeling that Dimitri Yannis right now may be one-stopping. He's holding up Graham Carroll and Martin van Loosenhoorn. So Umashima does indeed pit for the Radicals Online team. He's gone very long in that stint. So and he's told everyone he's pitting in for some reason. So Kazuki Umashima right now searching for his pit box. So need to be a very quick stop. He did start the race in the 12th position. So he's had a very promising event so far. And right now Dimitri Yannis continues for another lap. So 23 laps into this event. Now, if you are one-stopping, lap 27 is essentially that goal lap you want to get to, Paul. So for Dimitri Yannis, right now, a very promising race.
Absolutely. Cam Stark is just going to lose a position, is he? Marin Cholak has gone past him, so that's a move for position into turn 1 there, down the pit straight. So Marin Cholak didn't want to get left behind Cam Stark for too long because he was holding up a little bit, and that leaves Cholak to now try and catch up to Peter Berryman.
Well, Kevin Siggy's also another driver who may be one-stopping in this event. Currently in the 8th position, the same for Cam Stark. Now, we knew the potential at Montreal before his technical issue that unfortunately produced a retirement for Kevin Siggy there for the Positive Sim Racing team. It seems at the moment in this Pro Series, if you're down the order pool, as Michael Dinkel showed us last round, one stop is the way to go.
Oh, yeah, well, it's looking more and more like that. The only problem is if you carry on doing that, then the ones towards the front will start cottoning onto that and copy your strategy, so you won't be able to make up the ground. But yeah, certainly the one stop, if you're not quite on the pace, then a one stop is worth a risk, because then you're able to just negate that extra pit stop time for a second stop.
Now, I did mention in other rounds that, by the way, we did mention that Kazuki Mishima does feed out in P7. I did mention in other rounds the fact that a lot of these drivers, as Dimitri Yanis enters the pit lane here, and with only 29 laps remaining as Graham Carroll reclaims the lead, will lead his 20th lap of the event. Good stuff from Graham Carroll. And well, I finally get to my point, is the fact that a lot of these drivers come from the Grand Prix Series, very short races there compared to the Pro Series and the World Championship. So a lot of these drivers aren't going to be used to driving, you know, on heavier tanks as well, as Kazuki Mishima passes Cam Stark here for 5th position.
Yeah, it's a bit of a transition. It's a tougher job. Is going these longer races, as we say, 53 laps today at Suzuka. It's a tough track to go around at the best of times because it is a very technical track, a lot of steering input needed, and that, as we've been saying about the mental fitness, you know, the mental ability to be able to concentrate for so long, it's key. And some of the newer drivers may find it towards the end of the race that they're struggling and not able to just keep that focus.
Don't forget as well, RaceSpotTV /timing for all your live timing needs. You're watching round 4 of 9 for the 2015-16 iRacing.com Road Pro Series live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive. Johnny Simon in the commentary booth alongside Paul Smith, with Hugo Luis broadcasting on cameras for us. And with 29 laps remaining in this event, that gap between P1 and P2 is only 1.4 seconds as Graham Carroll crosses the line. This will be 28 laps remaining. Another lap will be at 50% distance. And it's Martin van Loozenhout in 2nd place. Peter Berryman slowly falling down the order. He's lacked a little bit of that race pace towards the end of races, which is where he needs to improve on. Could be something to do with mental fitness, as Paul mentioned. And Marin Cholak right behind in that 4th position for Iberica Racing, only 8 tenths behind Peter, which is very interesting for him. Kazuki Mishima in 5th, and Kevin Siggy in that 6th position, still waiting to make his first pit stop of the race. Danny Garcia-Filoli in 7th, Yu Hoaib 8th, and rounding out the top 10, it's Riley Preston and Jonas Nukarainen as Cam Stark is in the pit lane, Paul, out and away, and he's already made his first stop of the race, just 49% of the way through, or 48% I could say is a more accurate percentage. Still waiting for Kevin Siggy.
What's 1% between friends? Yeah, I think that's definitely a one-stop strategy for Cam, because he was in there 12.2 seconds in the pit, so taking a lot more fuel. So yeah, definitely a one-stop from Cam. So, but interested to see how he does in that second half of the race now. He has to look after the tyres a bit and be able to continue on for the rest of this race without pitting again.
Yeah, Justin Lindsay, those so close to Cam Stark out of the pit lane. And I think right now Cam Stark on this one stop will be passed by the Quanda SimSport driver sometime soon, maybe into the hairpin. I was hoping for a dive bomb there, Paul, and you'd probably be used to it racing British touring cars, but not happening that time around. What about Kazuki Mishima right now? He's only 1 tenth behind Marin Cholak. The battle for 4th place. Mishima up the inside into turn 1, and Marin Cholak backs off the throttle and lets him through. What an event for Kazuki Mishima, who may have taken a little less fuel for this stint, Paul, and it seems to be benefiting him so far. Next on his checklist is Peter Berryman in that 3rd position, the final podium spot.
So yeah, 1.3 seconds less of fuel than the Marin Cholak and Peter Berryman, so obviously going for a shorter sprint stint in this middle stint, so trying to make up positions that way, but Kazuki Omishima had to make the run move though, and it was a hell of a run out of that Casio chicane and down the pit straight, and able to use that slipstream as well and get past Cholak for that 4th place. But as we say, Peter Berryman's next on his target.
So Peter Berryman right now could be under attack from the Radicals Online driver, the ever fast and screaming Kazuki Mishima. We know what he is capable of, and he can be quite a scary driver when he's behind you, Paul, and sometimes having that sort of aspect to you as a driver to be intimidating can just help you, and drivers will just move out of your way. They don't want anything to do with you in battles because they feel, very, very nervous when you're attacking them.
Well, it can work both ways for you. It can either be that people are very nervous and will move out the way, or they'll be just absolutely obsessed in not letting you pass because they don't want to be behind you because they don't know what you're going to do. So, if that may be the case. So, it's certainly with somebody like that who maybe has a little bit of an intimidating factor. You maybe sort of get your defences up a bit more and more determined not to let them pass.
Kevin Siggy finally enters the pit lane on that one-stop strategy. Christian Tanahato hasn't made a pit stop. The same for Diogo Oliveira in the other PSR car. Christian Tanahato right there enters the pit lane for the first time this race. For Diogo Oliveira, though, he continues. For Kevin Siggy, he exits the pit lane, hopefully into some clean air. He's going to have a wonderful, wonderful clean track as he just feeds in front of Justin Lindsay right now. And for Kevin Siggy, this could be a promising race for him. And I spoke about it, Paul, at Montreal. With that unfortunate technical issue, right now he can make up for it here at Suzuka with another strong race. Very smart strategy. And I know the guys from PSR personally, the likes of Fernando Guerrero, Diogo Oliveira, very smart guys who are going to use something like strategy to, make their way up the order.
Yeah, to be honest, I think everyone will be pretty smart throughout this field. They've made it to this level, so you've got to be able to use that strategy and work that out. Not like myself, who's on the back of an envelope calculations, But yeah, Kevin Siggy doing a good race. He started down in 28th, so to be up in 15th at the moment is a good effort. Partly helped by there being so many unfortunately dropping out of the race.
Yeah, Kazuki Mishima right now as well. We'll hope that Peter Berryman doesn't drop out of the race, but at least drops behind him for the moment, as he is really pushing to the limit. He's dropped Marin Cholak to a second behind, but Peter Berryman could be doing the same because Kazuki is right onto the back on that lighter fuel load. And this could be a pretty smart trick, Paul. But when he has to pit maybe 3-4 laps earlier, it could not pay dividends. Could do the opposite. He could be paying taxes here, and he could lose a lot of time to Berryman and Cholak, who spent so much time passing them on the racetrack. And I have a feeling this may backfire a little bit on Kazuki, but at least he's having a go at it, because in the end I think he may even still finish in that 5th position, so he's had a go anyway to try and claim that podium position.
I always thought that maybe a good strategy would just to have us make it extend the first 2 stints as long as possible to have that time, the short pit stop at the end, and able to make that move. But Umeshima really getting close behind now through 130R. Maybe going to have a look down the inside into the Casio chicane. Just decides against it and just holds back, but will hopefully get a better run out of the chicane on Peter Berryman. But this is going to be disrupting Berryman as well. He's losing ground on the leaders, and while these two battle, of course, Marin Cholak can just sit back, maybe slowly gain ground as Umeshima looking to the inside again in turn 1, not able to make that move though.
Yeah, Vincenzo Amico, the lapped car there, if you saw him, out of the way, and he lets Berryman and Umeshima here fight for that final podium position with 24 laps remaining in the event. And it seems at the moment that Berryman has that little bit of oomph, that extra top speed, Paul, and that may help him maintain that 3rd position. Hopefully, though, I think for Umeshima, I think Berryman did gain a bit of an advantage with the slipstream from the lap car. This time around, it seems that there's going to be a clear track ahead. All Umeshima needs to do is keep it together and stay close here at the hairpin on the exit.
Oh, very late on the brakes. That must be the lighter fuel load that he's able to get onto the brakes later and be able to move forward, as we've had a crash for Abe.
Yeah, Yuhaway, big crash on the exit of Degner 2 there, and it's claimed a lot of victims. The same for Marcus Caton, Samuel Clark as well, and another victim right there, Yuhaway, who's lost the rear end as we look at the replay of that, and then unfortunately out of the race. Now, Paul, you have to be patient coming out of Degner 2, and right there, Yuhaway pushing way too hard, over 100%.
It looked like he was maybe just, yeah, as you say, not quite patient on the throttle and just
no,
too quick as Kazuki.
Side by side, yeah, here we go. Kazuki and Mishima straight up the inside of Peter Berryman at the final chicane. And Peter Berryman succumbs to the pressure and he falls down into the 4th position. Kazuki up into that podium spots. Now right now he's got 5.7 seconds to make up on Martin van Loozenhoorn. Most importantly though, Paul, a clear track ahead for Kazuki and Mishima in that Radicals Online car. He needs to push to the limit and make up as much time as he can as Diego Oliveira enters the pit lane for the first time this race.
Absolutely, yes. He's got to make this count now. He's got to get on it. He's got to put in fastest lap after fastest lap, you'd have to say. That he's got to really push with everything that he's got available to him. He has actually set the fastest lap of the race as Kazuki, so we know he has the pace in this car, so well, he's got to make it work to make the strategy work and get that podium at the very least.
Yeah, great lap time from Kazuki Mishima. And a 1 minute 31.996, the fastest lap of the race that he set. The closest man to that has been Jonas Nokarainen in the 8th position, another Radicals Online car. What about Graham Carroll? After that, the 3rd fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 32.087, still leads away, and we haven't spoken about him much since the first pit stop. And Martin van Loozenhoorn hasn't done what's required of him. He needs to stay within a second of Carroll come this second pit stop. And right now for Van Loozenhoorn, whose pit stop time was faster, don't forget, is looks like he may not be able to claim this lead on the racetrack and through strategy as well.
No, it's wow, I'm just looking at the lap time that Umashima just put in that lap. A 1:31.904. That's the new fastest lap for the race. And he is, well, we said he had to get onto it, and he certainly is. He's pulled another 3/10 on Graham Carroll, so good work so far from Kazuki, but he's got to keep it going until his next pit stop.
He certainly does right now. He's gained 4/10 on Martin van Loozenhoorn in front. Now that second pit stop window will open from lap 30 to 36. So right now that second pit stop window is open. And it seems like a couple of the other guys have extended that stint and they'll go for a light final stint. So Kazuki's elected to go for that second stint as the short one. And it just depends on how you are as a driver, Paul. You have your tendencies, you know, drivers who brake late, drivers who elect to one stop, the likes of Michael Dinkel, who's done that almost every race this season. Who knows where he would have been here today. So yeah, so you do have your driver tendencies, and it's also important as well to learn the drivers you're competing with every week, week in and week out.
Yeah, it certainly does help, but a man who has made his second pit stop now is Riley Preston down in 7th place, so he's done his 2 pit stops, so he's good for the rest of the race. But it's been interesting to see what these lap times are like this time round. Graham Carroll 1:32.2, Van Loozenhoorn 1:32.2, Kazuki Umashima a 1:31.7. That is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he is pushing to the limit, and we've seen this from Kazuki Mishima. It's not like this is the first time we've seen it at all. I mean, he almost won at Montreal, I think, in 2014 for the WCS. So we've seen this a lot from the Radicals Online driver. He's incredibly fast. The only problem he has is that he's incredibly inconsistent as well. So let's see if the man from Japan can improve his pace. As I mentioned, he is prone to making mistakes, and if he can improve his pace, that'd be quite impressive. A 1:31.7, faster than this. He's completely screaming towards those top 2 positions.
Absolutely, he's now only, what, 6 seconds behind Graham Carroll, so he's caught up quite a gap already, and he's continuing to catch that up. This lighter fuel load certainly working.
So we'll take a quick little ad break here before the second pit stop phase. Only a short time. Do not leave us. You're watching the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series live from Suzuka for round 4. Welcome back to round 4 of the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series from the Suzuka circuit in Japan. 20 laps remaining in this event, and we wait for the leaders to make their second stops of the race. Some drivers are one-stopping. Let's see where they end this race upon. So for Kazuki Mishima, right now, it doesn't enter the pit lane. Another rapid lap time. I can see. Oh my goodness! A woman at 31.6, 6/10 faster than Martin van Loozenhout there, Paul.
This is just incredible. It's fantastic from Kazuki Mishima to be able to put these laps in. But this is what he needs to do. We said he needed to do this once he got past Peter Berryman. He's already pulled out a 3-second gap over Peter Berryman. So, yeah, this is just incredible lap times that Kazuki is putting in. And it's certainly making for a thrilling second half of this race.
Yeah, so Kazuki Mishima, as soon as you started laughing, I thought, I'm like, oh, I could tell what just happened. A 31.6. Of course, I know he's less on the fuel side, but to be honest, that's still an impressive lap time. He's 4/10 slower though than Graham Carroll, and with 19 laps remaining. At the same time, I'm very confused right now because it seems like a lot of these drivers have gone long for that second stint. And Kazuki, unless he pits this lap around, he's not that far off from the final stint. It's not like he's going to be 10 laps longer in the final stint. He's still going to be within a few laps of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. This must be a bit of a worry if you're Graham Carroll and Martin van Loozenhout, as again, those two go around for another lap. Will Kazuki pit this time round? No, he won't. He stays
and
out.
This is going to be an impressive lap time. We're just waiting for it at 31.9. Oh,
that's rubbish. That's
horrible. And he's still the fastest guy on the racetrack with that lap, and it's absolutely horrible. So a great lap from Kazuki Mishima with a 31.9. Still gained a couple of tenths on the two leaders in front. And maybe the tyre is overheating a bit, Paul, because sometimes you can push to the limit. Tyre wear isn't such an issue in the Williams FW31. It is still a factor, but tyre temperature is more of a bigger factor. And we've seen drivers who maybe, start to make some slight half spins and start to correct the car with opposite lock. The tyre builds up temperature, and that's where they start to lose the car even more. So Kazuki right now, if he's pushing to the absolute limit, he just needs to make sure as he laps one of the Vortex racing cars, just needs to make sure he keeps it together.
You must have a telepathic link with me or something, because I was about to mention that maybe he's using up his tyres a bit more, and that's caused him to just now start to lose a little bit of time and a little bit of traction. But yeah, this will be good. It's going to be an impressive finish to this race because, as we say, he's not going to be that far off of the pit laps of Graham Carroll and Martin van Loozenhout.
Yeah, so a great strategy from Kazuki Mishima, who has the experience in the World Championship compared to Graham Carroll and Martin van Loosenord. So here we go, Paul, in these longer races. Yes, Carroll and Van Loosenord have a 31.7 for him, but only 2/10 faster than Graham Carroll and only 4/10 faster than Martin van Loosenord. As we look at the number 67 car, Riley Preston enters the pit lane, but for Kevin Siggy right now, just in front of Michael Dinkel, and Michael Dinkel, who, with that first lap incident, he's straight past Kevin Siggy right now. So Michael Dinkel making his way up through the field as Riley Preston finds his pit box.
So yeah, this is, I believe this is Riley's, this is Riley's second pit stop, sorry, yeah, so, yeah, he's making his pit stop now. I was getting incorrect data earlier on, just a little bit of a technical fault on my side, but yeah, that's his second stop for Riley Preston. But yeah, Michael Dinkel, he had to pit, of course, because he did have damage to his front wing from that start line incident. So having to make 2 stops for this race then, Will Dinkel. So yeah, a bit of an issue with our timing there. I'm showing 6 pit stops, so for Riley. So I'm sure it's not 6 pit stops though.
No, it shows the same for me as well. Talking about timing, don't forget, it is available on RaceSpot.tv/timing. Still plenty of racing left in this event. 17 laps remaining as Graham Carroll finally enters the pit lane. So does Van Loosenord. Umashima has gone longer in this stint. This is incredible stuff. And it's completely the opposite of what we thought. I'm hoping Kazuki Umashima has enough fuel to complete this lap, because that is the most surprising thing we've seen this whole entire race.
That is completely counterintuitive as to what I thought would have happened. That is surprising. Well, are these two, Graham and Martin, are they just now want to get fresh tyres? And Martin van Loosenord, a quicker pit stop and able to get out right behind his teammates. So yeah, this is incredible. It's come out close right alongside. That was what
Frederick Evers.
Yeah, so Graham Carroll crucially able to get Evers between him and Van Loosenord, so able to get a little bit of a buffer there.
Yeah, Frederick Evers, the 31-year-old former TNT Racing member, currently with Friction Racing, splits the 2 effective leaders in this race coming out of the pit stops. Graham Carroll in 7th, Van Loosenord in 9th. And for Kazuki Umashima, that's scary. And I told you, Paul, he's a scary driver. He does stuff like this, just lights up the timing sheets. And you could tell that Graham was maybe falling under the pressure a little bit. He was on the radio quite a lot in that stint compared to the early stages of the race. And we haven't seen Graham on the team radio as much as he's been in this stint. So he certainly knows that Kazuki Umashima is on his tail as Kazuki finally enters the pit lane.
Yep, so it's crucial now. This is going to be it. We've got, 15 laps left of this race as Peter Berryman stays out, so he's going longer. But, of course, he pitted later than everyone else at the front of that field. But Kazuki, what will his pit stop time be like? Was he able to get enough of a good in-lap there to be able to have a quick pit stop and exit? Here, Kazuki just drops down now, and away he goes, 7.8 seconds, so that's a quick pit stop. And Graham Carroll just coming down the pit lane now with Martin van Loosenord, and Umashima is there right behind them. He has gained a lot of time there.
Yeah, I feel like the timing screens are glitching even more. It shows up as 6.8 seconds on my screens. That's quite a fast pit stop, so it might have actually been 7.8 as Paul mentioned. But right there, most importantly, look at the time he's gained, Paul, with 1 extra lap. He's only 8/10 behind Van Loosenord, and Van Loosenord's, Van Loosenord's 9/10 behind Graham Carroll, and the same for Kazuki Umashima, who's the second behind Van Loosenord. So right now, Kazuki Umashima has put himself in a position with his pace in that second stint. He's got the rhythm, he's got the speed. Does he have the consistency to finish this race? And we've seen this in the past, in the history, where Kazuki has cost himself a good result in the latter stages of the event. So don't get your hopes up too early. It's up to see if Kazuki Umashima is new and improved in terms of consistency.
Make him sound like a washing powder. The new and improved Suzuka Umeshima, available in your shops now. But yeah, he's certainly got the pace today, that's for sure. It's whether he can get that consistency and able to improve and push people like Martin van Loozenhout and Graham Carroll, because those are two very good drivers, those two, and they're going to be tough to beat, as Peter Berryman pits as well. So he's in. No, sorry, not Peter Berryman.
No, Marin Cholak.
Marin Cholak, sorry, in the pits. I do apologise. But yeah, he's made his pit stop. So yeah, Carroll and van Loozenhout won't be the easiest to get past.
Yeah, certainly, and it's Marin Cholak and Danny Garcia-Filho, the two Iberica Racing cars, the two lone Iberica Racing cars after Pablo Lopez's bizarre incident, bizarre mistake, you could say there, on the exit of the hairpin. You'll hope to bounce back from that in a week's time at the Circuit of the Americas. That race, as always, will be live on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive at 1:30 p.m. GMT for 56 laps of racing. That's the 5th of December, next Saturday. But right now we concentrate on this lead battle, the effective lead battle. Peter Berryman does have that first position. We wait for him to pit. Now, the pit times right now, with Peter Berryman continuing, he's gained maybe about half a second to a second each lap on the top three leaders. Now he enters the pit lane, Paul, and it's oh so crucial to where he feeds out, because he's gained a lot of time on Carroll, van Loozenhout and Umeshima.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see where he feeds out. I don't think he'll have quite caught up the 3 seconds that he was behind Umeshima before they all started pitting, so that'd be interesting. Umeshima just this lap though, on the exit of Degner 1, just got onto the grass and over the AstroTurf on the exit, so not the best lap from Umeshima this time around, but still a 32.6, so lost 0.2 of a second on Graham Carroll and Martin van Loozenhout.
So Berryman, 60 kilometers an hour on the pit limiter, releases it. He's out and away into turn 1, screams away right now. And he is, he's lost he's quite a country mile behind the top 3, actually. I thought it'd be a lot closer than that, and I think he did miss his pit box. So for Peter Berryman right now, that cost him a lot of time there, Seb. And mistakes like that, it's a downhill pit entry, a 400-meter pit lane as well. So there we go, Peter Berryman, that's not the first time we've seen him miss his pit box. Once again, inconsistency and young guys making the mistakes. It's best to eliminate them in the Pro Series and not make them in next year's 2016 World Championship.
Yeah, you want to get those types of mistakes out of the way now. It's a high pressure environment as this, but when you go into that World Championship, it takes it up to a completely different level, as we see each and every year here live on RaceSpot and also on iRacingLive. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Umeshima is still 9/10 behind though. It's going to be close. This is like less than 2 seconds between the top 3, with Jorge Montañez behind them, who's on the 1 stop so far.
Yeah, right now, and Jorge Montañez, who will drop down he enters the pit lane, so that's his 2nd stop. Very long. This is going to be a very short final stint for him. 13 laps. Come on, there, Jorge. So he's done 220 lap stints on average. And where's Kevin Siggy? He's in 12th position. What about Diogo Oliveira, also on a 1 stop? Christian Tanato as well. Cam Stark. So they're all down outside the top 10. The 1 stop's not really working out for them as good as we thought. But Jorge Montañez, a 6.3 second stop, out and away. Good to see him there around about the bottom order of the top 10. And that's we may just feed out in front of Frederick Evers. So Jorge Montañez there, who did start the race in 17th position, could have a top 10 result on his hands here, Paul.
Just speaking of Cam Stark as well, he's got Dimitri Yanis right behind him now. There's 0.3 of a second between them, so that's a really close battle for 13th place. But yeah, it's sorry, I've completely forgotten what you said then, Johnny.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, Paul. Actually, Kazuki Mishima's made a mistake. He's lost a lot of seconds here, I believe, at the exit of the hairpin. I think he might have hit the wall as well. Yeah, he did. So Kazuki Mishima did hit the wall. We'll get a replay of that on your screens as well. And hopefully not much damage to the suspension. He was only 0.8 behind van Loozenhout before the mistake. Now 2.3 seconds behind. And as I mentioned there, Paul, Kazuki does have a knack, as we look at the replay, does have a knack for making mistakes towards the end of races, and once again, he could have another mistake on his hands here.
He does have a little bit of front wing damage, I do believe, so that'll be affecting his aero quality for the rest of this race, and it'll be interesting to see what happens this lap, because he didn't actually lose that much time if you look at the previous lap time. So about 1.5 seconds on Graham Carroll he lost from that mistake, but it'd be interesting to see what this lap does, whether he loses even more time because of that, whether any damage affects his car.
He's currently 13th in the championship with 61 points, right behind Cam Stark, right in front of Pablo Lopez. He's had one top 5 finish this season, so Kazuki Mishima looking for a podium as well. Yeah, it doesn't really look like catastrophic damage, but it's certainly a little bit of a bump he took with the wall, and I don't think he's gaining too much time on the top 2. So I don't think he speaks English, so we won't really get a post-race interview after the race from him, Paul. But I certainly want to know if we can get maybe Jonas Nagarano, who's currently in 7th position. We haven't spoken about him much today. If we can get him maybe to give us an insight into how Kazuki was so fast in that second stint, being longer on fuel as well. I'd certainly like to know, as he is definitely pushing to the limit, puts 2 wheels onto the grass there at the entrance to Spoon. You definitely don't want to do stuff like that.
Yeah, so come across the line now, we'll see that lap time, and he's only 1/10 of a second slower that lap than Graham Carroll, so really it's not causing that much problem as that little bit of front wing damage, so hopefully he's able to just get back on it now and push and catch up that time again.
So Kazuki Mishima right now heading towards Dunlop Curve at turn 7 on the racetrack, on towards the Degners. Turn 8 and then turn 9. This is a Dutch designed racetrack, don't forget, Paul, so it's in Japan, but the Dutch has a very, very nice figure of 8 layout. They've decided to make it very interesting as well. We all know that Suzuka is one of the world's famous motor racing circuits, so it's good to see iRacing laser scanning this venue, bringing it out there for all the world's best sim racers to race around every year, year in and year out, as Frederic Evers right behind Jorge Montañez here for that 10th position. And right now, top 10, not crucial, Paul, you just want points. It's not like everybody's going to earn points for finishing here this afternoon, but a little bit of a points difference between 10th and 11th. Frederic certainly wants that, as every point matters, because you could be on the brink of maybe finishing 26th in the championship in the end, and you'll lament times like these where you could have got past the driver in front for extra points.
Yeah, it's as much as you don't want to make a desperate move and end up taking out the guy in front of you or things like that, or damaging your own car, you do need to get the points, but as you get later into the season you then start adding it up in your head and go, oh, maybe I should have gone for that position, or maybe I should have done this, but it happens. Whatever happens, and you just got to deal with it and move on and learn from it.
Unfortunately for those tracking the timing on RaceSpotTV/timing, is that Kazuki Mishima is not gaining enough time on Martin van Loosenord and Graham Carroll in front. Now he is definitely losing time from that damage, Paul. We don't know how much time he's losing, but it seems like his chances of a win here are all but over.
Yeah, but it's still in 3rd place. It's still a podium position, considering that he started in 12th place on the grid. So getting a podium from this race would be an absolutely fantastic result for him. I would have thought he'd have been happy with it, but maybe. But of course, when you get within such a close position of possibly getting a win, you end up not being happy because you think, well, I could have done better.
So we look at Graham Carroll, who will cross the line shortly, and this will be 8 laps remaining for the Apex Racing UK driver. 25-year-old looking for his 2nd win of the Pro Series, and he's leading by 2 seconds away from his teammate Martin van Loosenord, who's just in front of Kazuki Mishima from Radicals Online in P3. Peter Berman in 4th, 4.7 seconds behind Kazuki Mishima. And the rest of the top 10, Marin Cholak and Danny Garcia Falol for America Racing, Eunice Nukarainen, the other Radicals Online driver in that 7th position. Riley Preston in 8th. What a strong event from Riley Preston. Good stuff from him for the Evolution Racing Australia team. And then Marcus Hamilton in 9th position. And it's, I thought I lost him there for a second. He's back on. The technical issues today, we've been having them a lot. But Friction Racing will be happy to know that Marcus Hamilton is still in the 9th position. And rounding out the top 10 is Jorge Montañez for the Movano Thrustmaster X team. Now, as the battle down the order here with Cam Stark and Diogo Oliveira. Diogo Oliveira did one stop, the same for Cam Stark. And right now, Cam on the back foot as the PSR driver of Diogo tries to make his way through. They've been battling for quite a couple of laps now, Paul. I've been keeping my eye on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Diogo did pit a little bit later than Cam as well, so it's on fresher tyres, and they should be around a similar fuel levels since they are one stop in these two. But it is a battle of the one stoppers. They've got to look after the tyres as Cam, because behind, as I said, Diogo with fresher tyres, fresher rubber, he's able to brake later, he's able to lap faster, so Diogo will be hoping to possibly make up a position here to get past Cam Stark.
See if we can do that indeed. Diogo Oliveira, who's had a good consistent season, you could say, hasn't made too many mistakes for the Positive Sim Racing team. And right now for Diogo, he finds himself very in touch. I was about to say very close to Cam Stark, because I was waiting for the slipstream to propel him right onto the back of the Apex Racing UK car. But it seems like that PSR car is doesn't have the straight line speed at the moment. So for Cam Stark, I think at this stage of the race, the Apex Racing UK car is electing for that little bit of extra top speed. Not so much of a difference in this Williams FW31 car. Everybody uses it, and everybody uses similar downforce packages, Paul, basically. So nobody really uses those low to medium downforce packages. Maybe at Monza could be an exception, but every other racetrack are using the high downforce. So little extra adjustments like front wing angle and other stuff as that battle here with the number 35 car takes place, Paul. The Christian Tanahato in the 18th position. He's only half a second behind Fernando Guerrero. Now Fernando did start the race from the 33rd position and last, and he's trying to make his way up the order. He's up 16 positions. Tanahato did start in 21st. Other drivers who made their way through the field, Kazuki Mishima, who started 12th, up into 3rd. And what about Diogo Oliveira, 32nd to 15th, right onto the back of Cam Stark here, heading into Spoon Curve.
Yes, a couple of battles going on between the one-stoppers at the moment, but yes, Diogo Oliveira really getting onto the back of Cam Stark now, really putting the pressure on. Is he able to keep that position as they head towards 130? Yeah, Diogo looking to the outside. Cam just maybe squeezing him and making him to move wide, and he's run wide as Oliveira.
No!
And into the wall. That's a big one, that is, and unfortunately for him, is he able to continue? Because that was a big impact. Well, he's going to carry on, but lost a lot of time because of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he'll be able to finish this race high up the order. He'll definitely continue, but for Diogo Oliveira, 10th in the championship with 69 points, and he's, that's taken a turn for the worse for him. Looking at P14, he's always been consistent, and that's why he's up there in 10th position in the championship. And right now, unfortunately for Diogo, the damage looks very critical. He's continuing away, but he's lost 2 seconds in half a lap to Michael Dinkel behind. He's losing 10th by 10th. Look at the time reel down from 2.6 seconds. Now it's 1.8 seconds, 1.7, 1.5.
He's got massive steering damage. He's struggling to keep that car going in a straight line here. Michael Dinkel, he'll easily pass him, to be honest, because Oliveira is really struggling with that car now.
So at least Diogo Oliveira learned his lesson. Next time at Suzuka, run off the track at 130R. Maybe be a little bit more cautious rejoining. And hopefully a straightforward pass for Michael Dinkel here. He just has to be patient. Dinkel also involved in some early incidents on lap 1. Makes his way past Diogo Oliveira. Falls down the order. And Dinkel on the radio straight away, probably thanking Diogo for that. Fernando Guerrero, 10.2 seconds behind. He's also catching up to Diogo Oliveira. And, well, I spoke about, it's the same way for Kazuki Mishima. Late mistakes in a race. You spoke about mental fitness before, Paul. Comes into play again in these long races.
Yes, it does. And, well, Diogo has just got to try and finish this race. There's 5 laps left, so he's just going to try and finish this race and get as high a points as possible. But he's certainly going to lose at least one more, maybe 3 more spots or 4 more spots in this race yet, because he's got 4 cars bearing down on him.
So 5 laps remaining in this race. Graham Carroll will cross the line and make that 4 laps remaining, as he leads his 42nd lap of the event. So he's led over 3/4 of the way to the flag. And for Graham Carroll, Paul, a race of, you could say it's been a quiet race for him, apart from the fact that he's been concentrating on Kazuki's lap times. At the same time as well, Martin van Loosenhoorn is only 1.7 seconds behind. It's not like Graham's coasted towards where he is in this position.
No, Martin has done a very good job of putting pressure on his teammate. Obviously, they don't want to pressure him too much to make mistakes and lose positions, but certainly you want to see those guys as part of the team working together, and they certainly have done that. But Kazuki Mishima, it was a good showing, but he's just not able to catch them up now. As we say, maybe that's just that little bit of damage on the front wing is just costing him.
So next round in 7 days' time on the 5th of December will take place at the Circuit of the Americas, the laser scan version, as that battle with Christian Tanahote, Justin Lindsay and Ricardo Torres on your screen right now. Justin Lindsay, Christian very aggressive defending, changing his lines multiple times, and I think that's going to frustrate Justin Lindsay at the moment, who maintains the outside line into turn 1. A little bit of contact, you could say, but the car stays together, and I feel like a little bit of aero loose there may have been taken into play. But Ricardo Torres behind is ready to pounce if any incident goes on. So the Vortex Racing driver there of Ricardo Torres, and look at him, he feels like he can get past Justin, but it's not going to happen in the S's. And that was a very, very close point there for Justin Lindsay, as he could be side by side here with Ricardo Torres, defends that inside line into the Degner curves. Great racing here, Paul, in the latter stages of the event.
Justin Lindsay did definitely make contact, because that front right part of his front wing is definitely slightly bent, and that's giving him all sorts of issues now, as Ricardo Torres certainly feeling that he's a lot faster now than Justin Lindsay, but Justin just determined to keep that position, and these guys are bearing down on that stricken Diogo Oliveira as well. Torres makes it through down the inside into Spoon.
Good stuff from Ricardo Torres, and Justin Lindsay falls down the order. Maybe that damage costing him a lot of time here. For Kazuki Mishima, he was down to around 1.3 seconds behind Martin van Loosenhoorn. I had a feeling he may have caught up a little bit, but that was just an illusion. The gap back up, and back to 1.5 seconds. Last time around, a 32.3 for Graham Carroll, the same for van Loosenhoorn, with a 31.9 for Kazuki Mishima, but it's too little too late at the moment. This time around, he's made a mistake on the exit of Degner 2, lost a couple of tenths. And for Graham Carroll, it will be the penultimate lap when he crosses the line. The race is far from over, Paul. Any mistakes in these in this stage of the race can cost you crucially.
It would be catastrophic if you make a mistake at this point now and end up losing a good win or podium position. So Graham and Martin maybe just managing that gap and just trying to take it a little bit easier, just to take it through to the end, as we've got Dimitri Yanis has slowly caught up to Kevin Siggy, so he'll be hoping to maybe make a move into this last lap. But Kevin Siggy doing a very good job, starting 28th, currently in 12th.
Yeah, good stuff there, and for Kevin Siggy, and that one stop, and he's a very quick driver, and he's becoming smarter as he has progressed. Very young as well, Kevin Siggy. We know from the Positive Sim Racing team, he's only 17 years old, don't forget as well. So good stuff from the man from Austria, as the number 78 car here of Who's the number 78 car? That is, sorry, number 72 car. There's no number 78 car. What am I reading here, Paul?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's Diogo Oliveira losing 3 places this lap, as we said, and he could possibly lose another lap to Justin Lindsay going into the final 2 laps. So that's crucial. He's ahead of them, Ricardo Torres. Certainly having a look into turn 1. Can he make that move stick? Very late on the brakes there. Fantastic move down the inside and taking that place.
Oh wow, incredible stuff here towards the latter stages of the event. The gap for the lead though as Graham Carroll begins the final lap of the event. It's 0.9 of a second to Van Loozenhoorn and 1 second to Kazuki Umeshima behind. So if only we could extend this race by 2 or 3 more laps, we would have loved to. But that gap is very close between them. For Christian Tanahato, hasn't been the best race for him in that 17th position right now. Fallen down to 18th. And he had better days. Let's see, as Dimitri Yanis has huge problems right now in that Vortex Sim Racing car. And I believe on the exit of the Spoon Curve he spun, and he's ran wide on the exit chasing Kevin Siggy. And yeah, so huge issues there for Dimitri Yanis. But right now on the final lap, Paul, as Graham Carroll exits the hairpin, it's been a great race for him.
Oh, Graham Carroll's done a fantastic job. He's led from the front. The only time he's really been behind is in the pit stop phases, so he's done exactly what he's needed to do, and it's about 0.8 of a second now between him and Matt Van Loozenhoorn, but he's always had that gap over him. Matt Van Loozenhoorn caught up in pit stops, but well, it's certainly been a good effort from Carroll. I'm not going to say it yet because I don't want to give him the old Murray Walker curse, but it certainly looks good for him going into the final chicane.
So Graham Carroll right now, he'll win his 2nd race of the season as he comes across the line here. Graham Carroll wins round 4 at Suzuka. An incredible clean race from the consistent man for the Apex Racing UK team. Wins along with Mac Backham. Those 2 drivers dominating the first 2 rounds there. 2 wins for Mac, 2 wins for Graham Carroll. And Martin Van Loozenhoorn also comes across the line and makes it a 1-2 for the Apex Racing UK team. As Michael Dinkel, we're still racing here alongside Cam Stark into Spoon Curve, and Michael Dinkel up the inside into the top 10. Great result here for Michael Dinkel, and Cam Stark falls down the order. But the rest of the drivers crossing the line. Umeshima claims that podium position. Cholak in 4th, Nukaran in 5th. But incredible stuff there as Hamilton comes home with an incredible 6th position. Jorge Montañez comes home in 7th, in 10th I believe actually. And Michael Dinkel right now in the 9th position. This is an incredible finish to the race. So good stuff from Michael Dinkel.
Michael Dinkel, coming across the line now, 13th. It's ended up our timing screen is just going to pot at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
But Michael Dinkel ended up in 13th ahead of Cam Stark. A great move down the inside into the spoon corner. Certainly brave, but that was it was late in the race, but he made it stick.
Yeah, I was wondering, our timing screens definitely played up because I'm like, Kevin Siggy wasn't in 8th position or something, so he comes home in 12th. But we'll look at the results, and these are the confirmed results for the race, despite any penalties that may arise in the future. And Graham Carroll wins by less than a second ahead of teammate Martin Van Loozenhoorn in that 2nd position. Another Apex Racing 1-2. Kazuki Umeshima, what could have been, despite his mistake on the exit of the hairpin, comes home in 3rd. Still a good podium position for him. Started the race in 12th. Peter Berryman in 4th, a quiet event for him. It's an Apex Racing UK, 3 cars in the top 4 positions. They're Marin Cholak and Danny Garcia Falol, the 2 Iberica Racing cars in 5th and 6th. Eunice Nukaranen for Radicals Online in 7th. Riley Preston, what an event for him for Evolution Racing Australia in the 8th position. Rounding out the top 10, a great strong result from Marcus Hamilton. And the same words for Jorge Montañez, who comes home in the 10th position. Frederick Evers in 11th. Kevin Siggy's one-stop strategy pays dividends and he comes home in 12th. Michael Dinkel in 13th, just in front of Cam Stark there. We saw that battle on the final lap into the Spoon Curve. Good recovery for Michael Dinkel despite his first lap demise after unfortunate incidents that he was into across the main straight, across the line. And what about Dimitri Yanis? Great strong event from him. The same goes for Fernando Guerrero, who's just stayed clean, not got into any trouble, comes home in 16th. Ricardo Torres in the 17th position. And Christian Tanahato in 18th. Finally, the rest of the guys on the lead lap: Justin Lindsay, Diogo Oliveira, and Yu Hoabe. Guys who finished the race not on the lead lap: Tomo Meglek, Vincenzo Amico, and Belazaz Remeniak. DNFs for the race: Samuel Clark and Pablo Lopez with some mistakes. Marcus Caton the same on the exit of Degner to Vedran Kral, Paul Williams, David Corps, Yuta Saito, and Alvaro Ramiro, as well as Emil Henriksen, all out of the race in the early few laps. Paul, another great race. We'll go straight to post-race interviews, hopefully, once a few drivers join us. But certainly as well, we spoke about Apex Racing UK being so dominant here in the Pro Series. I mean, incredible stuff.
It was fantastic stuff, that race. It was exciting to see Kazuki Yamashima coming through and almost making it a really close race finish, but unfortunately that little mistake cost him. But yeah, Apex Racing UK must be delighted with that. First two positions. Peter Berryman in fourth place. Yeah, he was in third for quite a bit of the race, so maybe a little bit disappointed that he ended up in fourth, but must be happy with that. And Cam Stark doing a good solid job for Apex as well, finishing 14th after starting 22nd. So one-stop strategy for him as well. So not bad for them so far this race.
Post-race coverage and interviews coming up shortly. We'll take a quick little ad break here. Do not leave us. You're watching the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series Round 4 from Suzuka. All the drivers coming up next to make their controversial comments, hopefully.
In the outside contact made, 56 slides it at a 4, who's going to be at the stripe, dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
The 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series from Suzuka is all but wrapped up, and Graham Carroll takes his second win of the season. And what a dominant display from the Apex Racing UK team, with Van Loosenhout and Peter Berryman also coming home in the second and fourth positions in the event. And we'll go straight to race winner Graham Carroll. A delightful event, Graham. Would you say a very quiet one for you as well? Battling out with a few drivers on the timing screens, not so much side by side on the racetrack though.
Yeah, it was just a track where I wanted to finish it. You know, it's such a hard track, and we've done so much testing here just for stability. And when I got the qualifying lap, yeah, it was basically just a matter of us Apex guys sort of settling down at the front, trying to pull away. And there was a few times where a couple of guys stayed out and we came in, but fairly a good result for us, and an even better team result, you know.
Were you concerned with Kazuki Yamashima in that second stint? Now, I don't know what you were saying on the team radio, but you were certainly on there a few times in that second stint. Could you tell that he was certainly upping the pace in the second stint? And were you surprised that he went longer than you and Martin for that final stop?
Yeah, well, we kind of noticed he wasn't as quick at the start, so we maybe knew he'd come on a bit at the end. And I know Alex in my ear sort of thing telling me about his pace, and he was catching on. If he got past Martin, he'd maybe start coming towards us a bit quicker. But Martin done a good job of holding him back, and to be fair, that made my life easier. So thanks, Martin.
What type of role did Alex play in this race for you as an engineer, and how vital and pivotal is it to have a sort of voice in your ears that calms you down and also coaches your way towards a race win?
Well, Alex has done it all. He's done the Pro Series, he's done the WCS, so having someone like Alex in my ear, that can watch my driving style and tell me when I'm getting a bit rough and tell me when to sort of watch the tyres and completely do all the fuel and a couple of clicks on the pressures here or there. To be fair, I would never have been top 3 without Alex today, so thanks again, Alex.
Good stuff there from race winner Graham Carroll, who wins his second race of the season, joins Mac Backham with those 2 race wins. And next on Graham's list is to maybe hopefully make it 3 race wins for the year. And you'll certainly be hoping to claim that championship lead. 1 drop round for the drivers in the first 7 events of the season, do not forget. So Mac will take his this round at Suzuka. But for Martin van Loozenhout, he continues away with another strong result, one that he needed. 8th in the championship coming into the round, 2nd position to finish this race. And he's alongside Paul Smith in post-race.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Johnny. So Martin, it's 2nd place. You started 2nd. You seem to be pushing your teammate in Graham throughout that race. Did you think that you had a chance of maybe going for the lead because you were able to catch him in a couple of those pit stops?
Yeah. It was kind of, I was pushing indeed because Kazumi was catching up really quickly, so I knew I had to push, and I didn't want to make any scary moves on Graham. I might have. I didn't want to make a pass as well. We just wanted to finish on the podium, and that's it. Go for the points and get your car back home safely.
You certainly did catch up a lot of time in that 2nd pit stop, though. You came out right behind Graham. So, did you not think of maybe sort of try and sneak a move in, or was it just a case of play the team game and do the right thing and get the team 1st and 2nd?
Well, yeah, it always goes through your mind. You always want to finish 1st, but like I said, in the end, you want a strong result for the team as well. And the last thing you want is crash with your teammate, and Suzuka is definitely a track where you can crash really easily. It's a tight track, and the dirty air is really bad. So yeah.
And how concerned were you with Kazuki Umashima's pace in that middle stint? Were you really sort of concerned that he was catching up at quite a rate?
Yeah, at the moment that you see that, I wasn't looking at it too much because that might distract me and get me out of my rhythm. So I didn't watch it, to be honest. But then he came right on my back under a 2nd, and then I just tried to keep him out of my slipstream, just out of the 6/10, and I've done that. So happy with that.
And it's your 3rd top 5 finish of the season, so you must be happy with the consistency. But maybe a win's overdue.
Yeah, this could have been a win if Graham didn't steal my pole.
It was Martin's race to win. To be fair, he's been on the ball all week.
But looking forward to Circuit of the Americas next week. Is that a track that particularly suits your style, or is it something that we could maybe see you just try and just get a result again?
I don't know. There are a few tracks like Coda that I haven't driven a proper race on. So also not in the iRacing Grand Prix series. So I just need to find out how the track fits me. And we'll see on Coda.
Well, I wish you all the best for the next round, Martin. It's you certainly gave us a show today, and best luck for the next round. And Johnny, have you got Peter Berryman with you?
I hope I have Peter Berryman with me. I certainly do have Peter Berryman with me, who comes home in the 4th position. Peter, you started in 3rd, down 1 position. As a racing driver, you always want to make your way up the order. And we spoke last round about where you can find those extra tenths in race pace. It seemed today only 6.6 seconds away from the lead. You were faster out of the 3 teammates there in the top 4. But where is that consistency that you're lacking that you need for long-term pace?
Yeah, so first things first, it's a fantastic result for the guys. You know, another great result. I think proving again that we're the strongest team in this series at the minute, I feel. But yeah, during testing we tried a few different things. You know, testing out what worked with different types of weather conditions and things like that. And yeah, I think I took a bit of a risk with my setup for this condition, and yeah, it definitely didn't pay off. So yeah, it's a setup issue today, but yeah, not much I could do with that.
Next round at Circuit of the Americas, I'm going to go straight there because I know maybe you just want to move on from this round. Fourth place is really not what you're capable of. You're certainly capable of more, but for Circuit of the Americas in 1 week's time, is that a track that you enjoy quite a lot? Because I've never actually seen you race there. I've only seen results of you there, so I'll be certainly scout you around at that racetrack.
I think I'm maybe in the same boat as a lot of other drivers. Maybe it's a nice track, it's a cool track, but I hate driving it. I can't stand it. The off tracks and things like that, I just can't stand it. So
and the anti-cuts.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not looking forward to that track at all. But hopefully, and I'm sure we'll probably will have another strong result for the team. So
Yeah. Now championship standings are updated. You're currently in second, coming in now. Taking into account max drop week, let's say you're third, just to make it a little more realistic.
With the penalties taken off, I think I'm net first actually at the minute.
Yeah,
points, yeah, I'm still up there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So anyway, it says you're in second for the moment.
Yeah.
Coming into Circuit of the Americas, how do you manage a gap? Because you know that you're basically almost guaranteed a spot into the World Championship for 2016. But how do you manage the motivation to finish the Pro Series when you know that your only goal is just to gain that license?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are on that thinking that they just want to gain their license. Of course you want to gain your license, but at the same time, I want to do the best that I can with you know, where I am. So yeah, I'm not really thinking about World Championship yet. I'm just concentrating 100% focus on the Pro Series for now. So yeah, just 100% for this.
Yeah, that was a really political answer you just gave. I liked it. I would have said the same anyway. But the good thing as well is that a lot of these drivers, whether or not the results matter, use it for a little bit of development as well. And I think that's key for anybody here in the Pro Series. We've seen a lot of mistakes out here, Paul, and a man who doesn't make many of them and who's had a bit of unlucky races in the World Championship is Alex Simpson, team owner and manager of Apex Racing UK. And he's sitting alongside you for post-race interviews.
Just before that, I don't know why so many people dislike Kota. I personally like it. It has nothing to do with the fact that I won a touring car race there. But anyway, Alex.
Oh, yes, it does.
Alex, yeah, you must be delighted with 1, 2, and 4 for the team, and also Cam started doing a good job on the one-stop strategy, finishing 14th in that race. So you must be pleased with that result.
Oh, delighted. I mean, I think I'm more nervous watching these guys race when they're 1-2 and 1-2-3 in qualifying than I am when I'm out on the track. It's crazy, but yeah, to see the result like that is just great. I mean, the guys fully deserve it as well. They work really hard through the week as well. All of them sharing all the information they can as well, and all the hard work really pays off. And yeah, Cam doing a great job from the back there. Went with a bit of an alternate strategy, swapped it up during the race as well, which I think was the right call. Gained a load of positions. He's points as well. He's now in the top 10 as well. So that's all 4 main team drivers in there, and Oscar, who was at Abu Dhabi, obviously missed today's race for the academy as well. Still in 15th place. I'm just ecstatic with how the season's going so far for the guys.
And looking forward, not just to Kota, but for the rounds after that, you must be hoping that for your team that they're able to pick up some more wins and maybe push for the overall championship.
That's it. I mean, I'd love to see an Apex driver up there. Who it's going to be, I really couldn't say. I mean, they're so evenly matched. It's crazy when you see the testing times. There's nothing in them. I mean, qualifying today is pretty much exactly how the test results look like through all the week. They're always scrapping it out. Who's the quickest? So who knows what Kota might bring.
I suppose I can't ask you who's your favourite. It's kind of like asking who's your favourite child, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I'd have to say all of them.
All of them equally. Well, that's a good political way of finishing that. So thanks a lot, Alex, once again.
So there you go, Alex Simpson there, team owner and manager of Apex Racing UK. He'll be in the World Championship next year along with these 3 who are, I mean, let's be honest, guaranteed a spot in the 2016 World Championship if they continue on with their great results here in, here out for the rest of the season. Now, Paul, it's been another great event. We enter the Circuit of the Americas next week for round 5. Then we have a week break for that build release, and that's quite pivotal. No, it's not really going to mean anything. That's just going to be a week's break between the next round. And then after that, we come back to Watkins Glen. That's always a good race in this Williams FW31. Then a 2-week holiday break into the new year. Then round 7, round 8, and round 9 at Spa, Monza, and Nürburgring. It's going to be an incredible end to the season.
It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait for next week, and it's certainly going to be a good end to the season with Mac hopefully coming back next week as well. So that'll make it even more interesting at the front.
And before we wrap everything up here, post-race, this round for the Iberica Racing Team, we have to bring them up, is another strong, decent result. You know, I mean, they did bring home Cholak and Filol in 5th and 6th. Only 12 and 17 seconds away from the lead. We know what happened to Pablo Lopez if qualifying really cost him, and then that silly mistake. That he'll just forget about it. Just another silly mistake. But for Iberica, they're another team who, I mean, let's see what they can do at Circuit of the Americas, and maybe Watkins Glen as well, to end the year. Is all they need to do is qualify well, and then make sure that they make as least mistakes as possible to maybe claim a race win. And I don't think we can rule them out this season in claiming a race win.
They've certainly got the pace there, and they've certainly got the ability. It's just, as we say, making sure that they get the good results and get the consistency right to be able to challenge for those race wins. And who knows, it could turn out for them at the end of the season.
So that is round 4, all but wrapped up for the 2015 iRacing.com Road Pro Series. Suzuka produces another thrilling and entertaining race once again. Join us in 7 days' time at 1:30 p.m. GMT for 56 laps of racing at the Circuit of the Americas on the 5th of December. Thanks as always to iRacingLive and One Design, as well as Istvan Valoh, and RaceSpotTV presentation with Johnny Simon, Paul Smith, and Hugo Luis. We say so long and see you in 7 days' time.